Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right, this is episode 196. This evening, we got the Clynelish 10-year special release 2023. Special release, right? Not a special edition?
Special release.
All right. And then from there, we got our shout-outs and Get It Together. Sportsbook is the restaurant that we are reviewing. And then the Smarter Challenge is the 2024 remake of the classical movie Nosferatu. Before we jump into trying this scotch, we want to thank all of you who watch us on YouTube and Rumble. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate you. And thank you to all the many different listeners on the many different podcast platforms that you listen to us on. We greatly appreciate all of you as well. If you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. And leave some comments down below.
Scotch Reviewed.
All right, some quick notes on the Clynelish 2023 special release from Diageo. Quickly, they call this one the Jazz Crescendo. Alluring dulce tones reach a crescendo with notes of vanilla spice and smooth caramel. The Clynelish distillery is actually kind of interesting. It's near Bora, Sutherland in the Highlands of Scotland. And ultimately, here's where it gets tricky. The current Clynelish distillery was founded in 1967. The water source is the Clynelish. They do currently operate with 3 wash stills, 3 spirit stills, pumping out a hearty 4,800,000 liters per year capacity. Now, going back to the distillery and the current distillery in 1967, the original distillery was built in 1819, adjacent to the now current distillery built in 67. In the 1960s, and this is how this all came about, there was a luxury boom. Everything from cars to whiskey was being bought up and gathered and collected and drinking and enjoyed. So they built the second distillery and they ran side by side as they were called Clynelish A and Clynelish B for a while until they closed the older distillery. Now, the boom was mostly over. Things are going good. They're ready to operate with just one distillery. And then the Clynelish distillery has a little issue. They basically face a drought. They run dry. And this is the distillery, or that was the distillery at the time that Johnny Walker was using for their peated Scotch whiskies, averaging between 35 and 40 ppm, phenol parts per million. So they reopened the distillery to be able to source to Johnny Walker and the Johnny Walker blends, but they reopened it under the name of the Bora Distillery. Clynelish and Johnny Walker here have now had a long-standing connection for years. Around 95% of the scotch from the distillery is used in Johnny Walker blended scotches, the most of which, approximately 95% altogether, but the most of which goes to their gold label reserve. This scotch is definitely going to be a treat. It's going to be fun. 57.5% ABV. So this is not for the weak of heart. And I'm looking forward to it because it's supposed to have some great vanilla, a little spice, and some wonderful caramel.
Nice. Who doesn't like vanilla and spice and everything nice?
That's right.
Well, the Clynelish distillery does have 2 tours that they currently do. Their first one is called the Clynelish Flavor Journey. It's 1.75 hours or 1 hour and 45 minutes. I would assume that's what that means. And you get a guided tour and a tutor tasting. And that goes for 21 Great British Pounds. And then the other tour that they do is called the Clynelish Process Tour and Premium Tasting. And this one is 35 Great British Pounds, but it's only 1 hour long. So I guess maybe the tour is shorter or the tutor tasting is shorter. I'm not really sure which one it is, but they do have it is a shorter time frame on that. They also do have what's called the express tasting, where you just skip the tour. It's 45 minutes long and it costs 17 Great British Pounds. And then they have the Taste of Clynelish tasting only option. This is the premier tasting. This is where you skip the tour as well. It's 45 minutes long and it's 70 Great British Pounds.
I totally mispronounced Clynelish. Clynelish, not Clynelish. I totally mispronounced that. And the second I said it, I knew it, so I just had to double check. Clynelish is the Scotch that was being sourced for the Johnny Walker blend until it became Clynelish V. Yeah, the one from The Gentleman. Yeah. And that's why it stuck with me.
Series.
Yeah.
TV series.
That's why it stuck with me, that I really needed to get that right. So we're going to go ahead and pop open this very handsome canister to check out the bottle. Diageo continues to do a really nice job with these.
Because it has a jazz player, did they? You might have talked about the oak. I'm assuming they use American oak then, or
they use first fill bourbon casks only for the finish on this. Diageo, with their usual nice foil, tears really freaking smoothly.
That's what she said.
That's beautiful. And that is a solid wood top, pressed cork. That's a little different. The nose, it could go either way, though. All right. Did you want some too?
I guess not.
Oh.
All right. Well, I guess it's time for our tasting and warp speed. So
All right.
cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Okay, this latest, or I wouldn't say latest maybe, because it is the 2023 special release, Diageo's Clynelish 10-year. It's actually a great rendition from them, or a great expression. I really enjoy it. First off, their presentation. I love it. I think it's great. I love how they have the jazz player on there with, I think it's like jazz notes or something in the background.
And it's matte and gloss, but it's hard to catch it unless you get it closer.
Yeah, so it's really, I like it. It's really cool. The big plus for me, it has a wooden topper. I can easily overlook the pressed cork part. So I did give it a 5 out of 5. So really enjoyed it. I really like it a lot. The color, I put summer blonde here for me. I think it's, I like the color. It's nice. It's very inviting, I would say. So that is also a 5 out of 5. Now the nose. Here, I have 2 different types of flavor profiles that I have written down. One is from the Glencairn glass. Here I put it's a very floral and sweet nose with notes of pineapple, vanilla, honey, brine, and floral. I'm not exactly when I'm saying floral. I'm not saying, I don't know what kind of floral scent I'm getting, but it's definitely flowers of some sort. But then when I go to the bigger glass, here I have, I get like notes of vanilla and malt with some mild oak, which gives me, on my nose, the nose reminds me of chocolate milk a little bit. Which I think is really kind of odd because those are 2 like wildly different flavor profiles on the nose, smelling from 2 different types of glasses. But overall, I did like the nose. This was my high point. I gave it a 27 out of 30. The palate, Here I put it's medium to thick with some creaminess to it. And then it has like vanilla and pineapple up front, followed by some salted walnut. And then it's followed by almost like a mineral cleanliness of green tea with some spice notes to it. Which then those spice notes, which then that leads us into into our finish, which is a long finish with spice and orchard fruits. I put here, giving a hint of apricot sweetness and the long-lasting, lingering flavor of an apple. The apple to me outlasts the spice or the sweetness, and it gives like a very nice, I don't know, like if you like the taste of apples, I think it leaves a nice apple flavor at the end, which makes it very enjoyable. But both the palate and the finish to me were both a 26. This gives me a grand total of 89 points. Would I take this to a black tie affair? Yeah, I think it's a black tie affair appropriate. Would I take it to a game night? High-end game night, sure. Low-end game night, not so much because of the price point. I think it's like $170-ish. I do think it has a place on your shelf because it is a special release, and I think it's something that it's probably best to share with another connoisseur. So yeah, I like it. If you can get hands on it, I recommend it.
All right, this is a fun Scotch for me, and one of the reasons it's been hidden on one of the many shelves behind the cameras is because it is our first Clynelish besides the Game of Thrones.
Is it?
Yeah. So they have other Clynelish.
Oh, that's Cardew.
Yeah, this is our first Clynelish minus the Game of Thrones Clynelish. And they have others. They've always got that funky cat on them. But we've never tried any of their regular presentations. Now, this is largely because, by the way, they don't have many presentations. They have a 14-year that they pop out, but 95% of their Scotch is going to Johnny Walker to make blended Scotches. So if you can get your hands on one of these, it suddenly starts to make sense. That's why it's a special release. That's why you see the special releases more than I actually ever see their regular 14-year on the shelf.
Wow, I thought for sure we tried it.
No, we've seen it from time to time. Always expensive. I think their 14-year usually goes for like $120 a bottle, and we're both like, I don't fucking know shit about this Scotch. I don't know. I'm not going to drop that. But this bottle was sexy enough that I didn't hesitate to drop the extra. With that, what I will say is the presentation for me clearly very visually attractive. I love it. It's a 5 out of 5. I also love the wood topper. I love the colors. I love what they did with the canister. I am a huge fan when they take the time, spend the extra couple dollars. I'm fine to pay. Guess what? Charge me for a couple dollars for a sexy canister. I want the matte. I want the glass. I want the bright. I want the dark. I want art. I love the contrast. A natural cast strength, 57.5 Scotch, and it is sexy. You mentioned when you talked about the color, inviting, and for me, the color is warm golden pineapple. And I didn't think about inviting until you said it, but it is absolutely inviting. It's warm. It makes me want to go to it. 5 on presentation, 5 on color. For the nose. The nose in many Scotches lately for us has been dynamically different, from a Glencairn to an old-fashioned or another style of glass. For me, the summation is pretty quick. This was not my highest score, unlike yourself. I gave the nose a 26. It is sweet. One of those things, a 57.5% ABV natural cast strength Scotch. I don't normally think it's going to be sweet, but I think the pineapple, it reminds me of Tropic Force. A little bit of pineapple, vanilla bean. It's honey sweet on the nose. And when I talk about pineapple, I'm talking about that pineapple that is super ripe and thrown on a grill. Make the pineapple a little extra sticky sweet. And then the slightest hint, and no one nailed this, chocolate milk. How do you smell chocolate milk unless you've drinking it? You do, because as a kid you drank it at school. It is very, again, warm. So 26 on the nose, 27 for my palate. This was my high point. My God, this was the win for me. I want to drink her all night. Now, here's where I will bring up the two different glasses. When I drink from the Glencairn, the spice pops right off the bat. And when I say spice, I'm talking white pepper, followed by, this is where it is followed by, the salted caramel and malted milk chocolate. When I drink from the big glass, it is literally just the opposite. First of all, it gets a much creamier coating mouthfeel. So it's literally like a custardy mouthfeel of salted caramel, chocolate milk. Then the white pepper kicks in. Then the pineapple is in my face. It's delicious. And then I get a little hint of orange or orange blossom. And I think I get a little bit of that on the nose. You mentioned the floral note on the nose. I think that is the floral note I get on the nose, is that little bit of orange blossom. Kind of like just that little hint of orange zest. Not the orange, but that piece that's florally and pungent. And as the palate wraps up, I still am not sure that I'm naming the right nut, but I think it's a salted peanut in there. Again, 27 on the palate, and just slightly lower on the finish for me, back down to a 26. The finish is long. I love it. That white pepper spice, particularly from the larger glass, it kicks in. It's beautiful. Again, the palate, the mouthfeel, the creamy salted caramel, chocolate milk, white pepper kicks in. The pineapple, a little bit of orange blossom, the peanuts, and then in the finish, more spice. That it's almost like an oaky now, an oaky white pepper, and the vanilla bean. Not vanilla, don't mistake this. If you haven't taken a vanilla bean and either cut it to make your own homemade creme brulee, or as I like to do, grate it to get a little bit of that extra stock in there for the appearance and look. That is absolutely what it is. 26 on the finish, 89 total. Black tie, yes. Game night, if they're worth it, yes. And a spot on the shelves, absolutely. This has been a treat.
It's time for our shout-outs.
I'm going to keep it short and simple. Both shout out and get together, depending on which side you are. Man, Trump is going hard. I don't know that he's going to.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I don't know that he's got a chance to win half of what he's going after. But what I do like is that, unlike the last several Democratic presidents that I have seen, and I'm going to start with Obama and his whole lies about everything nuclear, they did not deliver to me what they were voted into office for. And Trump, whether or not he wins it, at least he went after it. And so, God damn it, you got to give the guy credit. That's the shout out. If you don't like it, hey, and you want to say it's never going to pass, that's fine. At least he went after it. I got to give the guy credit for that, because that's the hardest part.
Well, a lot of podcasters right now are saying promises made, promises kept. And he said he's going to do certain things, and he's been going after it.
Dude, this Scotch is only getting fucking better.
It is. So I have no get it togethers this week, but my shout out is MAGA Go Trump team. Like, honestly, Trump is like, he's like a big time super troll.
What the fuck is a super troll?
You know, people who troll other people online.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. You said that, and I'm just like, trolls, Justin Timberlake.
No. People who comment and make fun of other people on the interwebs or social media. Okay. So, especially after the whole Columbia standoff. I thought that like he just gave like a super troll of how he came back and stuff like that. But anyways, I'll just leave it at that. I'm just gonna give a shout out to the Trump team because they have said that they were gonna do certain things and they have been doing it and they're going after it and. Thanks to them. I mean, like, they got some, like, shady characters out of Colorado here recently, too, so.
Oh, only 50 drug dealers, Venezuelan known gangsters and stuff. Yeah, you may not like it. Not even one full week in.
Restaurant review.
This week's restaurant review, well, just like we wanted to revisit Nosferatu, the original A Symphony of Horror, we wanted to revisit a restaurant that just reopened here in Greenwood Village. Congratulations, the Sportsbook Bar. They're off of Arapahoe Road. There was a fire. I think that it's still in the courts as far as who may or may not have started that fire, but they are reopened and we wanted to revisit the location. Do you want to fire off first with what you had?
Sure. So first off, it's part of a big strip mall-y area. So the outside is kind of what you would expect. Although the way it's set up, like I didn't notice like it was like too dark going out to my car or anything like that. I did notice that their signage wasn't fully lit, but that could be because they're still recovering from that fire. Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt on the lighted name on the outside of their building. So I did give the outside a 6 out of 10. The inside, I like what they did with the inside. It looks really similar to what it was before. But it looks like they did some updating possibly to their bar. It looks a bit like cleaner and more bright, which I liked. The upper, I don't know if you, the upper area, because it is
upper floor.
Upper floor, yeah. I don't want, well, because it's not like a true like upper floor, but it is elevated. It looks like they did some like new flooring right there, which is like more gray. Like I think because it's new, it looks really nice right now. So I did like how the appearance on the inside looked because it looks clean and fresh right now. I mean, maybe after a couple of years, it'll look all dirty and nasty after multiple spills of alcohol and food dropping on it and stuff like that. But as of right now, I think it looks nice. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good sports bar to go to. You can watch a lot of games there. They have plenty of TVs. So I did like that. The food, I liked my dish. I got the steak rice bowl. It comes with it was supposed to come with a sunny side up egg. Mine was like it was not. It was like a hard egg or whatever. I don't know. It definitely wasn't sunny side up. I know that much. But it tasted really well. For the most part, I liked the flavors. It tasted great. It did not overfill me. I even made a comment to Jesse saying like it looked like a really small portion. I still think it was kind of a small portion, but comparative to like some other dishes, but it filled me just enough to where I was comfortable. So I didn't leave being hungry, and I didn't leave being too full either. So that was a pleasant treat. It was just like the right amount of food. So that was good for me. So I gave the food a 8 out of 10 because it had nice flavors in there and stuff like that. The service, I thought the lady the waitress showed up enough times. She was responsive enough. She did bring the teriyaki sauce when I asked for it. But I did after Jesse had mentioned something about her stopping off at other tables and chit chatting with what might seem like randos or whatever. That kind of made me question a little bit about like the promptness of it, I guess. Like, could she have done a better job of like being more prompt, like attending to her tables? Possibly, but at the same time, I think she's also giving customer service to those people who she might remember or who might be coming back or that she knows. So here I was a little bit torn, but I ended up giving her a 7 out of 10 here. And then the value, really for the amount of food that I received, the drink that I had, which was Michelob Ultra, I gave the value a 7 out of 10. I didn't think they gave me anything over the top. But like I said, I thought like the portion could be a little bit bigger. But if it was, I probably would have been too full anyways. So I was happy with giving it a 7 as the value. The grand total rounded up, or whatever the mean or whatever the average score here, 7.2 out of 10. I think it's a good place. Is it a destination spot? I'm torn here because honestly, if I want to go to a sports bar, I would say yes, it is a destination spot because honestly, there's not like a whole lot of like sports bars right around us to go to,
and others have dropped down lately.
And like the only other one I can think of is maybe is 20 Mile. And to me, that place is like too dark and dingy, and I wouldn't want to go there to go watch a game with a friend. I'd rather go here.
And Fanugis has gone way down.
Well, yeah, Fanugis has gone way down. So, yeah, I think. Well, here's another thing too. Fanugis is really dark, and I like how much more bright this place is. So, I actually honestly like Sportsbook more of like if I want to go watch a sports game with a friend or something. So, yeah, I think it's a destination for that reason. But if you're asking like bar food, maybe not.
All right, that is a good synopsis. Now, I went in and I think I ordered the Cop. But what I think I got was a hybrid version of the Cop in the Colorado melt. So the Colorado melt comes on brioche bread, whereas the Cop comes on a roll. I did not get a roll. I got basically a version of Texas toast. I'm not sure what they did. Here's what I will tell you. It was freaking delicious. It's the best burger I've had in 6 months. And I'm talking about going to Zigzag on a hankering and all sorts of things. It definitely had pepper jack and cheddar cheeses in it, fried jalapenos, red onions. This is where it gets really tricky because if you look at their menu, neither of their menu items list red onions. Like I had them freshly cut, thinly cut, super prime of age in there. It definitely had a little bit of an oile sauce, some lettuce. It was delicious. So whichever one they ultimately gave me, or if it was a hybrid, hey, you won. I loved it. The sweet potato tots, I wanted them a little bit crispier, but I'm not going to knock them because it's like it was a full plate for me, and I ate the whole damn thing right down to the last tot. Didn't use any sauces, no salt, no pepper. Everything tasted perfect. So for me, it was honestly a truly pleasant treat. Now I don't know if they can repeat this because again, neither of.
What did your receipt say you ate?
That's a really good question. It's upstairs. I don't know, but whatever it was fucking perfect. It was delicious. Because you and I know on our burgers, we love fresh red onion. We're talking about first day, first cut, red onion, thin slice. That was on this one. But when I looked up the menu online, neither of them list that. They both list French fried onions.
Oh.
Which,
yeah, I wouldn't want French. For me, I wouldn't. I
actually like crispy French fried onions, but
I don't.
Dude, the red onion was delicious. So
yeah,
don't stop doing that. For me, the exterior wasn't bad, wasn't outstanding. The only thing I don't like is I think they just could probably remodel their parking lot a little bit in front of the sports book and the location to its west. There's this little like median level where there used to be an old cigar trolley car type of thing, and they've just never gotten rid of it. But the exterior is still great, well lit, safe feeling, good sized parking spots. It's a 7. The interior, I love the interior, very inviting, very warm. It was nice. I, as Noah mentioned, love sitting up at the at the top floor. Interior an 8. Service for me was a 7. Would have been an 8. But it was just this little piece where she could have visited and been a little bit, just the slightest bit more attentive. 7's a good score, by the way. Food, though, for me was an 8. It was freaking delicious. Thank you. Value, The beers were a little bit higher priced than other places for happy hour, but there was still a discount. You know what? So I'm actually giving value because I was there at happy hour and ate. If I hadn't been there at happy hour, those beers would have cost me a couple bucks more each. Might have been different. Ultimately, total score for me, 7.6. Would I take a date there? 7.6 sounds low, but I'd absolutely take a date there. I'd meet a friend there, and it is absolutely a destination for me.
Smarter challenges.
All right, this week's Smarter Challenge. Now, this is both exciting and interesting, and knowing I've had tons of time to both think and talk about it. It was to revisit Nosferatu, released basically Christmas 2024, so right at the tail end of 2024. And then, should we want to, we can bring up and compare it to the original 1922 Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. With Nosferatu, it is an American gothic horror film, again 2024, directed by Robert Eggers, who also wrote the screenplay. Most notable stars are, even though you can't tell who the hell he is, Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Emma Corrin. The first thing I would ask Noah...
William Dafoe?
Oh, dude, yeah. How the hell did I forget William Dafoe, the Mad Doctor, who ultimately is... How would you define him? He's the religious doctor? Question mark?
I don't know. I would say religious doctor. He's definitely a professor.
Yeah.
Of lore. Of European lore.
That's a good way to put it. European lore, and yeah, we're going to leave it at that. Ultimately, now I know in the past we've talked about the original Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. How do you feel after seeing the second one? Does it stand up, or does it leave you wanting?
I would say this. I think the cinematography, there's some really great cinematography in this movie, and I really liked it. The pace is very methodical and maybe at times too slow. I saw it twice, and here's my here's my issue. I guess maybe I subconsciously don't like it. And this is kind of weird because, like, I really do like the acting, especially from Bill Skarsgård. I think he does a phenomenal job. Lily Rose
plays Ellen.
Oh yeah, plays Ellen. Yeah, so Lily Rose Depp, who plays Ellen. I wasn't 100% sold on her acting. Nicholas Hoult, who plays Thomas.
Dude,
he does a
he plays a good
job.
weenie.
Yeah, he does play a good weenie. He does a decent job. Aaron Taylor-Johnson is a big pussy. He's kind of like a
pushover.
Well, he's like one of those snobby aristocrats that when push comes to shove, you know you can't count on him, and he like pushes out at the end.
Second generation money.
Yeah. William Dafoe does a great job in his character, but here's the thing: is like, does it leave me wanting, or do I think it does a good job? Like I said, I think there's aspects of where it does a really great job, but overall, like I watched the movie twice. First time I fell asleep in the first part of the movie, and the second time I fell asleep in the second part of the movie. I've seen the whole thing altogether when you combine the two times I've seen the movie. So subconsciously, maybe I don't like the movie? Question mark? I don't know. So I guess it kind of sort of leaves me wanting. I guess my biggest issue here is I was expecting something closer to the to the original, and I really love the original by F.A. Murnau, who is a German silent film director, and I thought his version of Nosferatu, obviously it's the original. I think it's the best. I think it's the greatest. I really love it. But then again, I also took a German film and society class, so we took time to study the movie and stuff like that, and what he did. And so I as much as I love the cinematography and as much as I love some of the acting, especially Willem Dafoe and Skarsgård, I guess I was left wanting a little bit. And I'm not exactly sure. If you ask me what I was left wanting, I have no idea.
I don't think that that's wrong. I think this movie is definitely going to have a total split in audiences. For me, it did not leave me wanting. Now, you're talking about F.W. Murnau. I know I'm mispronouncing that. It's been a long time since I've taken German, not since the 102 years between the original Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, and Nosferatu 2024. You're talking about 102 years variance. Things had to change. But I loved the cinematography, as you mentioned. That did not leave me wanting. Skarsgård, his role was great. There comes in the question, like, how much acting are you doing with that piece? I think there are pieces where he did. For me, the win was Lily Rose Depp. The second win was William Dafoe. Their roles were absolutely the wins. Aaron Taylor-Johnson did a nice job as well. I think they all played their roles pretty well for the time. Oh, man, it was, for me, as you mentioned, slow, but I think that that's intentional. The biggest variances of the movie made sense after I saw it myself a second time. So left you wanting a little bit, totally understandable. Left most of the audiences who saw it, from my understanding, wanting. It did not leave me wanting. Now, with that,
I think the naked lady on the horse stole the show. Just joking.
I mean, if you're talking about the back of the horse, it was a pleasant view. So yes, horse's ass, says a horse, said, of course. But what other than the horse's ass were key points for you in the movie? What are some of the things that you would say are, if you had one or two wins or one or two opportunities, what would you say they are?
All right, so one of the definite wins is Skarsgård and how he plays Orlok. And I think when it comes to that, when they use the cinematography of like his shadow and like opening doors and stuff like that, and how he like communicates, the way he talks and his movements. But I really loved how they did the cinematography with the shadowness or the shadowy Orlok parts of how he moved within the shadows. That to me was a total win. I loved how they did that cinematography and then the way he spoke and stuff like that, and his mannerisms, the way he moved as Orlok. Those were all great wins to me. I really enjoyed those. The other second win is William Dafoe playing the professor. His enthusiasm and excitement and his love for learning and how to overcome this plight that came across their small German town was remarkable. I think like Willem Dafoe, in my opinion, is a great actor anyways. Plus, here's the extra plus here for me, is that William Dafoe played Orlok in another movie called Shadow of a Vampire, which
30 years ago?
It was like in late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, I think the way Dafoe played the professor, I think that was a total win as well. So those would be my two biggest wins.
All right. Well, for me, the first win, one of the things as we watched and assessed vampire movies from one of our previous shows, favorite vampire movies, was I always wondered from Nosferatu, how did this happen versus Dracula and Count Dracula having this pull, which from me in most Dracula movies was always from a previous relationship, a love torn, decided unrealistic, and therefore loss of life and a hunt for blood and lifelong vengeance, only to find reincarnated. Here's where it gets super curious. The Catholicism or Christianity reincarnated into this being once again. One thing I loved about this Nosferatu, and not everyone will, but is at the beginning. So this movie is meant to start in 1830-ish, where Ellen is pleading to a supernatural power to ease her loneliness, to relieve her of this loneliness. And in the original Nosferatu, it's like, what the fuck is this happening? All I know is the Bram Stoker version of Dracula, like X, Y, and Z question mark. Whereas in this one, they answered a question without going back to the simple Bram Stoker version, which is, there's this young lady, young girl, young human, doesn't even matter if it was a girl, right? We can all remember being a kid and being lonely or asking for a supernatural force to ease us in some way, whether that's with love or passion or, to become the next Conan the Barbarian, whatever it may have been. She just wants to have her loneliness eased. And I love the fact that they helped solidify why this was happening based on that. And I know one of the things we talked about was like, that doesn't necessarily make other people comfortable. But for me, I fucking loved it. I'm like, okay, you asked for this. You got it. Careful what you asked for. I loved it because here's the next piece I loved about it. All true original horror movies all had a very simple thing. And that was, hey, don't go around having sex as a teenager at Camp Wally Nolly in front of Jason and whatever it may be. And so here it was like, hey, this is really great because the original Nosferatu was considered really the grandfather of all horror movies and what it did. And so now here we're going back and we're saying, okay, let's really reimagine what is it, one of the key points that is essential in any horror movie, and it's some little piece of folklore, luck or unluck or things you're not supposed to do. And this was, hey, be careful what you ask for. You ask for the devil, you just might get him.
Yeah, so your win there was my loss. Like we discussed it, like the whole
I know
the whole like her like pleading to a celestial being or supernatural being or whatever, and like the whole witchcrafty whatever going on to communicate with Orlok. That part, like, I guess I here's my thing. Maybe this is what it is. Maybe this is what bothers me. I don't like the blending of witchcraft going into a vampire movie. Unless it's like we have distinct witches and distinct vampires. But this right here, like we had like a blended thing, which I guess maybe I do not like.
So, and I think that's natural. I remember for the most of my life, any sort of drugs in the movie was automatically a turn off. I don't want to watch this fucking movie with Johnny Depp and this hot chick getting it on called Blow, even though...
Oh, Blow's awesome.
My point stands. Whereas there was a movie that for the longest time I could not take just because to me it glorified a drug. And so I think we all have those little ticks. But for me, what was interesting is this was the piece I needed to help solidify me. And I know we talked about like, in one scene, it looks like there's a pentagram. Turns out it's a heptagram. So it's a 7-sided star. It's actually 7-sided stars throughout the movie. And what's more interesting about that is they're usually positive religious symbols, not a devil or demon religious symbols.
Well, it definitely wasn't positive in this scenario.
I don't know, because what she did was she got what she asked for. She saved the plague, of which, if you haven't gotten the basic storyline,
the plague ever happened if she didn't ask for that.
That's the point. But she's not over there drawing the pentagrams. Other people are. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying I'm against
heptagrams.
I'm not against like witch movies or anything like that. I love The Craft.
Hey, any gothic chick wants to come on the show, we're ready.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. So I'm like that. That's not like that's not my issue. I think it's the crossover of how they did the crossover that I'm having my issue with.
All right. Well, I don't want to go all night about this. I thought the movie was great. I do think the acting on most fronts was well done, even if I didn't like the characters. That was the point. We have people that have played like Aaron Taylor-Johnson, everyone from Craven to this guy. And
I liked him in Craven.
Dude, that's my point is... We know he can play both roles. He did his job well. And the fact that in this movie, again, spoilers, we always say this after we've already ruined it for you if you watch this far. He sits there, and this is a reality, is he is a broken man because his wife and children have now been murdered because Orlok got jealous because who? None other than Ellen decides, as she knows at night, that Orlok is tied to her, that she's going to tease her husband into copulating with her and making Orlok jealous. And that was an interesting piece. If you really pay attention to that, Ellen's role was to make, her, whether or not she intended to, I'm guessing she did, women, right? Men, whoever, she wants some attention. She wants it in different ways. She literally emphasizes to Orlok, who's looking through her eyes, you could never satisfy me like he could. And then gets her husband to copulate with her. They have sex. Orlok comes and kills the Friedrich's wife and children. And then how does he end up dying? He dies just laying next to his wife.
Okay, maybe I have to re-see the movie because I thought for sure it wasn't because of the copulation part. I thought it was more because he said, "Hey, you need to marry me. If you don't want to do it, you have 3 days to make your decision. And if you don't make your decision within those 3 days, I'm gonna start killing people."
And that's why he did it. But he did not wait to start killing people. He did it right away. But yes, rewatch the timing, and she times that, and his revenge is their death.
All right, I guess I'll have to rewatch it.
It's kind of interesting, the depths to the movie.
But I'm not wrong with what he was saying, right? It was a 3 day, the 3 day warning.
Yeah, in both the first and the second, 3 days are given to submit. And then there's the last question is like, okay, anyone who gives 3 days knows they're going to fail. Like, hey, I'm giving you 3 days to kill me. Plan my death. I want to do some bad things in the mix. Ultimately, I'll get what I want. You're going to submit to me, and
I still think it's a movie worth seeing and watching. So I definitely would not tell anyone not to see it. I think people should see it. And I think, like I said, I think there's some great aspects of it. There are just some things like
I think the funniest part for me, and then we can get into next week or any other finishes for you, is seeing some of the memes making fun of it. And one of them is somebody.
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh, so one of them is this person dressed up as Count Orlok saying, "Hey, I want to buy your bitch wife. Here's one bag of gold. Sign here."
Be careful what you're buying.
And it's just like, what? Okay, damn it. That does kind of simply summarize parts of the movie.
So
and it's true.
Guys who marry women who've already been married before, is that basically what's happening there?
I mean, you might be buying a problem. I don't know.
I think
vice versa. Women who marry a man who's already been married. All right, that's all I have unless you have anything you want to read.
No, I don't.
All right, it was a fun movie.
Other than see the movie.
Yeah, it was a fun movie.
All right, next week. Smart challenge. I don't know. So here. Well, in 2025, there's going to be a new World's Fair in Osaka, Japan.
Ooh.
It's going to start April 13th, go to October 13th. It's 6 months long. I think a lot of people in the United States are unfamiliar with what a World's Fair is. So I figured our Smart Challenge should be looking at possibly, maybe the history of the World Fair, what they do there, is it worthwhile to attend? Something, like along those lines. Just basically getting a better idea of what the World's Fair is and is it worthwhile.
All right. I'm guessing this is not a dog and pony show.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it's a dragon and a mermaid show.
Maybe it is. It could be all of the above.
Nosferatu. Nosferatu.
So, if you guys made it this far, thank you very much for watching us. We greatly appreciate all of your support on Rumble and YouTube, as well as all the many different listening platforms. So, thank you very much. If you do like our content, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave some comments down below. And before I pass this over to Jesse to close this out, can you just give me a little bit more so that way I can at least do our cheer at the end?
Oh my God, this is getting better.
Thank you very much. All right, now I'm going to pass it over to Jesse so he can close this out, and then we'll do our cheers to all of you at the end.
All right, remember, life is great. That does not mean it should be easy or Nosferatu difficult, but it usually the more difficult times can help you enjoy the greater times. So consider the balance. Very few people are both self-aware and arrogant. With that, remember, drink responsibly, do not drink and drive, and until next week's Smarter Challenge of the World Fair, Scotchman! Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.